Abraham Lincoln was the 16th President of the United States. He served 3 years, beginning his presidential career on March 4, 1861, all the way to April 14, 1865. Abraham Lincoln was 56 when he got elected as the first Republican president. During Lincoln's presidency, he had two vice presidents, Hannibal Hamlin and Andrew Johnson, who later on became the 17th President of the United States after the assassination of Lincoln. Johnson was 56 years old when he got elected to be president, serving from years 1865 until 1869 as a Democrat, until later getting impeached due to a violation of the Tenure of Office Act. Going into his background, Abraham Lincoln had a wife and 3 children. Lincoln married Mary Todd on November 1842 at her sister Elizabeth's home in Springfield, Illinois. She was 23 years old and he was 33 years of age. Lincoln had 3 children, Robert Todd Lincoln, Tad Lincoln, and Edward Baker Lincoln. As for his education, Lincoln was self-educated. His former schooling was intermittent along with his sister, the aggregate of which may have accounted to less than 12 months. He never attended college, but Lincoln retained a lifelong interest in learning. Careers other than politics was a seat in the U.S. House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate candidates by Illinois Republican Convention. Before becoming president, Lincoln won the election to first term in the Illinois House of Representatives, the Springfield Town Board, the Whig Party for the 7th Congressional District, and finally taking a seat in the U.S. House of Representatives. Some major events during his presidency was attack on Fort Sumter that occurred on April 12, 1861, when Confederates under General Pierre Beauregard opened fire, marking the start of the Civil War. The Civil War started because of an uncompromising difference between the free and slave states over the power of the national government to prohibit slavery in the territories that had not yet become states. When Abraham Lincoln won election in 1860 as the first Republican president on the platform, he was pledging to keep slavery out of the territories, 7 slave states in the deep South succeeded and formed the new nation, the Confederate States of America. While the incoming Lincoln administration and most of the northern people refused to recognize the legitimacy of the succession, they feared that it would discredit democracy and create a fatal precedent that would eventually fragment the no longer United States into several small squabbling countries. On November 19, 1863, President Abraham Lincoln delivered remarks which later became known as the Gettysburg Address. At that official dedication ceremony for the National Cemetery of Gettysburg in Pennsylvania, on the site of one of the bloodiest and most decisive battles of the Civil War, Lincoln makes his famous Gettysburg Address and dedicates a portion of the Gettysburg battlefield as a national cemetery. Though he was not the funeral orator that day, Lincoln's brief address would be remembered as one of the most important speeches in American history. On January 1st, 1863, Lincoln used his war powers to issue the Emancipation Proclamation. It made all slaves in Confederate areas free by U.S. law as soon as the U.S. Army reached them. And they reached all of them by June 1865, though Lincoln argued that the Founding Fathers' phrase, and I quote, "all men are created equal," applied to blacks and whites alike. This does not mean he thought they should have the same social and political rights. His views became clear during an 1858 series of debates with his opponents in the Illinois race for U.S. Senate. Stephen Douglas, who had accused him of supporting, and I quote, "Negro equality," in their 4th debate at Charleston, Illinois on September 18, 1858, Lincoln made his position clear, and I quote, "I would clearly say that I am not, nor ever have been, in favor of bringing about in any way the social and political equality of the white and black races." He began going on to say that he opposed blacks having the right to vote, to serve on juries, to hold office, and to intermarry with whites.